Hello guys, I'm Elf, Elfnet Gaming. I'm back on my workbench here at the shop with another radio video for you. This video is going to be primarily based around a couple of things. One of them is going to be this little wire you see here. This is the infamous Maxtrac repeater cable, and what this is a very straightforward little cable. It only has about 3 connections total. And what this does is this is pinned for the Motorola 16-pin type radios like Maxtrac PM400. CDMs are 20 pins, but this will still work. Anything with a 16-pin Motorola type radio. And you will need a pair of radios for this. Now, these are real popular with hams and little portable repeaters. The GMRS community, the prepper community has also gotten into these. An easy, quick way where you don't have to build a controller or spend a lot of money on a controller, a commercial grade controller. This doesn't have any audio processing, filtering, no transistor switching, no isolation or any of that. So you got to keep in mind, if this is going to be using a filtered audio source, which is going to be from the received radio, there's no, none of the other stuff in it that. None of the other stuff exists for it to do anything else. So yeah, 16 pins, and you're gonna need, I'm just gonna go over this real quick, how to hook this up, because this is very important. I found this out early on, that you can either damage the cable or you can damage your radio if you plug these in the wrong way. Now, these don't have any physical like the Motorola, like physical grooves or tabs like say this here does. This is a Motorola internal speaker shunt for a Maxtrac, and you can see it's got a huge tab on it right there. It's also got these grooves on it right here. If I get a radio, if I have a Maxtrac here, Maxtrac right there. You can look at the back of the Maxtrac. I'm not using this radio. This is a VHF Maxtrac, 32 channels. You can see those grooves. There are little grooves here on this piece, and that will plug right into there, like so. And it's important to know which side of the radio the tabs are on. Now, this is the bottom of the radio. I can't get the thing out. Come out of there. Get back over there. It's important to find out which is which, and a good way to find out which side of the radio you need to plug this in on, which way this needs to go around, is if you look at this particular cable, it has a marking called COR out. You'll follow that in. You see there's a red wire. You're going to follow the trace around, and that trace will always go to pin number 8 on your radio. This top level here, since I see the trace going here, that's obviously 8. That's going to be pin 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. These are evens on the back, or odd. The pins that are odd numbered, if I can find, yes, the pins that are odd numbered are going to be on the bottom row of the radios. So we're looking at the radio. Here's the front. We'll flip it around. The bottom row is odd. The top row is even on here. So that will tell you. And I don't know why I'm really grabbing that. I have a radio here, and it's the same way here. Bottom row is odd. Top row is even. So with that, we'll know that that this cable will plug in even on top, the label towards the bottom of the radio. Now, not all of these have a label on them. They may be etched on the plastic TX and RX. What I do with these is when I get them, I make sure of on the transmitting on this side, the receiving side, I follow this around pin 8. I know the tab is going to be on the bottom, and I flip it over and I put a dot, or I write tab side on it. That way I know. And it's better to do it that way Because like I said before, if you plug one of these in the right way and the other one the wrong way, you're gonna damage the radio. You can damage this cable. This cable here works, though when I first got it I plugged it in wrong and I burnt the track right there, the ground. Now that is the ground, and the ground is shared through the negative side here, so it's really not that critical. But still, the fact remains that I goofed when I got it, and I probably should fix that at some point before continuing on with this. So I do have my soldering iron here. I could just put a little bridge on it and call it done. Well, it's not going to let me. No, I don't want to bridge that way. It doesn't really matter if that one's blowed off like that, because like I said, that is a shared ground. I do have some wire I can use to fix that, and I don't want to get sidetracked on this too hard, but I do want to make sure that this thing's going to be right. Now, if you get one of these cables, it won't be broken like that. It's only mine. It's only mine. I don't have my sponge here. Okay, that's kind of taken care of, I guess. Just to, no, it's not. Well, okay, that'll work, I guess. I don't know. That will work for now. Anyway, you don't want to plug these in the wrong way. You'll end up with the misfortune of tearing something up. Usually it's the radio, but in this case it saved me by burning out the trace. So what I'm going to do is take the PM400. Now I recommend the PM400 because it's one, it's narrowband, two, it's only 25 watts, and if you're going to do anything with a suicide cable and mobiles, you might as well do it with 25 watts or so. That way you're not demanding a lot of power. This radio does have a display. It supports MDC 1200 and DTMF, PTTA, and I. And it's a small form factor. And it does have the 16 pin. It's very small. So I have a pair of these, and I need to see which one this one is, and we'll hook the power to it. Turn it on. This is the transmitting radio, which for some reason is in scan mode. Why? That's interesting. Okay, so this is the transmitting radio. And the TX side of the cable goes in, tab down, like so. The receiving radio is probably going to be this, is obviously the other one that I have here. Same thing, tab down, goes in, like so. Connect the power. Now, I have provisions to program these radios, and I can walk you through that. I have already programmed these, so all I got to do is read them. And then I can show you what needs to be changed. But what you're going to need to program these radios is, if you're using a modern computer and you do not have a 9-pin COM port on the back, the traditional COM 1, RS-232, you'll need to get a USB to RS-232 cable. Otherwise, you're not going to get very far. The next thing that you're going to need is a Motorola RIB, radio interface box. If you mess around with radios, you may already have one. but these are pretty common on eBay. Get an authentic Motorola one. Don't get a knockoff or a homebrew one, because those can brick your radio. They're not good. The cable that you will need, you can build this cable or you can buy it. I modified a cable to have a toggle switch on it. This is a dual purpose cable. It looks like this on one end, and it's basically an Ethernet cord, RJ45 on the other. Now in here, it is very important that this is not, these radios, these PM400s will not program with a standard Motorola mobile cable. So that's why I built this cable. I don't think you can buy a Motorola cable that has this option. I engineered this myself. But what this is, in norm, means I can program your standard Maxtrac, Ameritrac, SM50, Radius mobiles, all the legacy radios. If I put it up in CVC, then it will program the newer, the CM300, the PM400, etc. And what this does is create a shunt that the radio needs in its programming cable to make the radio go into program accept mode. Okay, go into programming mode basically. It turns on the internals so it can receive programming. So I'm going to read the transmitting radio. The programming cable goes in there. And the most important part of all this you will need, all the hardware you can get. That's the rib right there. I've got my screw bucket and junk sitting on it, but I know it's there. The rib should come with a little 15-pin thing there, and that goes off to the computer through your COM port, and the other one plugs in on that side. Anyway, the most important thing you're going to need is a subscription service on the Motorola website, so you can download the commercial series customer programming software. Okay, and there it is. This is version 5.07. I probably should update this, but for the purposes of the video, it's fine. Updating things on this computer is kind of trivial. You can see I took, well actually, which one am I? I'm on this one. The CD-ROM is gone, and the floppy, because I was doing some stuff to it. But updating on here is kind of trivial. It requires a USB drive and some other finagling, but that's it right there. That's the that's the software. Anyway, I'll leave this. We're going to read the radio. First, make sure my cable is in the right mode. Okay. Yes, this is an old computer. So we'll read the radio. It should already be programmed. I'm just walking you through what you're going to need to do. And you'll be presented with this screen. The first thing you need to do is go to accessories here. And I find the community repeater ZR310 transmit. And what I do here is external mic PTT on 3, pin 4 is CSQ detect, and it goes high. Now this is, I think these are default. Filtered audio, handset is off. General settings, off hook PL defeats PL. Untick that unless you want the PL of the monitor always on all the time. Channel positions, option boards, all this stuff you can just leave alone because you're not going to really be using it. Conventional personalities and radio, and I rename this a TX radio, and how you do that is you right click it and you click rename, and you can type in the name. Now over here, by default, since I do a lot of commercial, I put this in 12.5. GMRS can be 25 or whatever, but I 12.5. And since this radio is transmitting, it needs to be the opposite of what all your other radios are. In other words, all your other radios will be transmitting in 462.625. They'll be going into a repeater. Well, since this is the repeater, it needs to be transmitting reverse. Now, I know I have the receive frequency at 462.625 here. That's because you can't blank the receive frequency. But the transmit side is what we're looking for. I set the tone as a tone PL of 141.3, and that is 4A in the Motorola tone dictionary. And that is basically it. And then we hit write, and it will write the radio. The radio will beep. The radio will now reboot. And the radio is programmed. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into the receive radio, and we'll read the receive radio, and I'll show you the necessary stuff you need to do there, because the receive radio is where it gets a little more interesting, where the default accessory needs to be modified. Excuse me. Again, I've renamed the channel to RX Radio there. We're going and put in 467.625 or whatever your repeater pair is, and tones, and that's all of that. This is important. And in the accessories area, I put the ZR310 receive, and pin 4 carrier squelch detect goes high. Pin 8 by default is unassigned. Now you remember what I said about pin 8 on the cable. Pin 8 is core. You're going to need some type of detection here. So it could be CSQ detect, talk group detect. I'm going to make it PL CSQ talk group detect, so it uses the tone, and it's going to pull low level. And with that set, you're also going to do the general settings with the off hook or whatever you want to do there. And with that, we're going to write the radio up. And then we'll hook up some cables and get some radios out and see if we're doing anything. Writing the radio was successful. Okay, I'll put the camera back on its little pedestal here. So now we've got them both programmed. I'm going 462.625 with a +5 here. And that's not going to work. So we're going to go back into the receiving radio and change this to CSQ to right. Okay. The option. I'm rewriting the radio right quick because I forgot something. Again, on the receive radio, this pin 8 needs to be CSQ detect going low, so not PL detect or anything. It didn't work, so. Okay, that's working. Why it doesn't work like that, I don't know. It's looking for something that's not there. Okay. Now, with this radio here, 462.65, I'm in +5. Okay. And you can see when I transmit, it's doing that. Now, don't do that with no antenna. I need to put the antennas on and the duplexer. We'll take as an adapter here. Put one adapter on. And here's the other. And well, I had a pair of pliers. We'll go in and make sure these are good and tight, and we'll just snug them up. Because if these get loose, then weird things can start happening. Okay, we'll take our cables here. Here's for the repeater. You're going to need these cables, and you're going to need a duplexer. Kind of like so. This is a little one here. And we need to pay attention here the high and the low. The high is the high side receive frequency. And that's going to go to the receiving radio, which is going to be this cable. It's on this side. And then low will go to the transmitting radio, which is the top radio. It's very important that you get these in the right position, because this is basically a notch filter, and getting these wrong can create a lot of issues you don't want later. One being a burned up receiving pin diode in the receiver being burned up. Now this duplexer I put on a little dummy load, so I'm not actually transmitting out publicly. And that's basically that. That's basically what I got all hooked up back here. There's our dummy load. Now I can key up the radio. And what I need to do, I'll bring out this radio. And I'm going to use this one to monitor. I think this is... Okay, we'll put you down here in monitor mode. Okay, now. Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. My battery's going low on this portable. Let me get the other one. Something's very wrong there with that radio, I think. Yep, everything's dead. All my batteries are dying. This digital thing here, it might work a little better. But anyway, you could hear it was working. Yes. Oh, that's right, that ain't even set up. One, two, three. One, two, three. One, two, three. So it's not. So there's the. There's that. So here we go. Test the transmitter. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So yeah, that's basically how you set one of these things up. I'm gonna have to go in and figure out a little more what's going on, and I really need to charge my good radio here. just kind of neglected it, let it go. It's not even working over there, so I don't know what's really going on here. I think my tone. Oh, I didn't change the tones. That's right. So this thing doesn't hear a tone. It doesn't pass. It won't pass it off the right way. Anyway, this is basically how to set up the suicide cable, a pair of mobiles to use, and I use the GMRS as an example. This can be done with the ham radio or the commercial radio. Do not do this with FRS. Do not do this with MURS. Do not do this if you're not licensed. Other than that, it's just that simple. You can overlook the last few minutes me fumbling with radios. I thought everything was charged and ready to go, but obviously not. I'm going to set this one back. One, two, three, one. Yeah, my HT here has a bad mic in it. I think something's wrong with it. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I got other stuff I need to do, and I will see you guys in the next video.